Are you using Zoom to its full capacity? With so many people using Zoom now to communicate with customers, clients, and colleagues, it's really important that you have it set up correctly. And there's many places that you can access different settings for Zoom. So today I'm going to walk you through those. Hi, I'm Kim Garnett, owner of Brainy Girl. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So there are some settings in Zoom that you can access in your Zoom account. So you need to log into your Zoom account and you're going to find yourself on a screen that looks similar to this. Click over here on settings and you've got several tabs up here. We're going to go through all of them. So we'll start under meeting and security. This part we cannot change. You may have it enabled that you are able to change it. On mine, I cannot change this setting. So I can either choose when I set up a meeting that there's a passcode, a waiting room, or only authenticated users can join. So right under that is this waiting room option. So I have this enabled so that when someone joins my meeting, I can choose whether to let them in or not, or when to let them in. So I like having that enabled, and then I just click approve and they come into the Zoom meeting. Now, what many people don't know is there's some options here. So if you have a waiting room, you can click on Customize Waiting Room. You can upload your logo here. And this is what will show when someone's waiting to join the meeting. There are some specs down here for your logo image, but it's just a nice way to have a more branded experience for those who are in the waiting room. You also have some waiting room options here. So who should go in the waiting room? So you have some options about who you want to go in the waiting room and who you want to just let in right away. So we'll scroll down here to meeting passcode. And as you can see, I have this enabled. I also have the personal meeting ID so that I'm not just using the exact same Zoom link for everyone, because I don't want someone random or a client who's got the wrong day for their booking to hop in and join a meeting when I'm on a meeting with someone else. This one here is to require a passcode for participants joining by phone. And this one is a really good one to have enabled so that the passcode is actually in the invite link. So they're not having to go to the link and then manually enter their passcode. You can turn this on and it's already enabled as part of the link. This part here is for panelists. So if you have Zoom webinars, you can only let authenticated panelists in to join the webinars. I don't use Zoom for webinars, so this is not an option I would utilize. And I don't have this on as well because I don't want to have to authenticate everyone who is coming into a meeting. You can block users from specific web domains from joining meetings and your webinars. Again, this is if you want to authenticate users, you can turn that on. You can actually approve or block entry from users in specific countries or regions if you need to do that. And now we'll go down to the schedule meeting section here. So you can turn this on if you want to have the video come on, your own video as the host, immediately when you start the meeting. If you don't do that, then you have to manually turn on your video. And the same with participants' videos. So you want to make sure if you have this toggled on that they know they're going to be on video, because there's nothing worse for showing up for a meeting and thinking that you can just be on by audio and you come on and you're in your pajamas. So the audio type, I always allow telephone and computer audio based on what they want to use. This option allows participants to join the meeting before you do. Now, I don't want them sitting there waiting, so I like to be able to let them in rather than them sitting there waiting for me to show up if they're there 10 minutes early or early for the meeting. So I have that turned off. This one allows Zoom rooms to start meeting with host key. Doesn't look like I can do anything with it. You might be able to do it with yours. It says it's locked by admin, so I could probably go in and change that. However, I don't use Zoom rooms, so I'm not going to worry about that. So again, we're over to the personal meeting ID. So every person who joins a meeting with me or who is sent a meeting link has a unique personal meeting ID. I don't use the same meeting ID for all of my meetings. So again, not just some random person can join. So personal meeting ID when scheduling a meeting, I want to turn that on because I want them to get a unique link that no one else can use. You can also use a personal meeting ID when starting an instant meeting. So again, if I log into my account or I go to my Google extension here and I want to start a meeting or host a meeting, that's whether you're going to send a unique link to the person you're inviting or whether it's just your general Zoom link. So I'm actually going to turn that on. Okay, you can actually add a watermark. So each person who's attending the meeting has a portion of their own email address embedded as the watermark on that shared content. Now, there are some stipulations about how you have to set up your Zoom meetings in order to do this, but you can certainly, watermark that so you know exactly who was on that call and who it was shared with. And you can have it as a single instance or a repeated instance. You can also choose what that watermark is visible on. So is that only visible on shared content, on video feeds, or on both? And then you can also adjust the opacity. Now, this option here to mute all participants when they join a meeting, I don't have that on because some people who are not really familiar with Zoom then struggle to figure out how they turn on their mic. So I leave that on so the audio is already on when they join the meeting. Now, this is an interesting one. I haven't seen this before, probably not something I'd use, but you might, and that's an upcoming meeting reminder. So you get a desktop notification when you have a meeting coming up. So that could be handy to remind yourself. All right, let's go down to in meeting basic chat. So you can turn chat on or off for your meetings in general. You can also, if you have chat enabled, direct Zoom to allow participants to chat with different roles within the meeting. And this option will allow users to save the chats of the meetings as well. So private chat allows people to send direct messages to each other without messaging the whole group or chatting with the whole group. So this is really good to have enabled because it auto saves the chat. So I don't have to decide if the chat is saved or not. When the recording is uploaded to my account, the chat log is also there and I'm able to send it to a client if I want as well. Okay, this option here allows sound notifications when someone joins a meeting or leaves a meeting. I have that enabled for hosts and co-hosts only, not for everyone. So that if we have a number of people joining the meeting, it's not ding, 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 ding every time someone's coming in. But I do like to know when someone comes into the meeting. So I have that enabled for host or co-host. You can also, when someone joins by phone, ask to record their voice to use that as a notification so that you know who is joining by phone. This one is a really handy one to have enabled, and that's the send files via meeting chat. So if I'm on a meeting with a client or a student or something like that, I can actually send them a file in the chat, which is really easy to do. And it makes file sharing really easy while you're on the Zoom call. You're not trying to figure out how to be able to get it to the other person. You can share it right there within the meeting. And you can also allow for only specified file types like PDFs, for instance, and maximum file size as well. I have this turned off. I have no need for my clients or customers or students to provide feedback to Zoom, but you could have that on if you wanted to give them that option. You can also display an end of meeting experience feedback survey. So this is just a thumbs up or thumbs down that participants can provide at the end of the meeting. And if they do a thumbs down, they actually get a text box to say what they didn't like about the meeting or what went wrong in the meeting. You can enable or disable having co-hosts. If you are co-hosting meetings or webinars, this is a great option to turn on. This option here, meeting polls and quizzes, allows me to add polls during or after a meeting. And I can also create advanced polls and quizzes as well. I don't have that on because I don't generally do polls and quizzes in meetings. You can provide your participants a survey at the end, which most people don't know about. So if you want to get feedback at the end of your meeting, this might be a good way to be able to do it. And then this is the meeting control bar. So when you're actually on a Zoom, down at the bottom or at the top, you've got a control bar. You can change the audio, you can mute yourself, you can change the video type or the video camera, things like that. So you definitely want to have that enabled here. Screen sharing, this is one that I often run into. People do not have their screen sharing enabled. So if you want to have screen sharing, you definitely need to have this on. So you can also specify who can share. So host only or all participants. All participants being hosts and panelists, but not the attendees for webinars. And I also have this one on host only. So if I'm sharing my screen, my client can't then start sharing their screen. They can share their screen, just not while I'm sharing mine. So if you want to disable desktop screen sharing for meetings that you host, you can turn this on. And you can also disable screen sharing for guests in the meeting. So you can also allow the host and participants to use annotation tools to add information to the shared screens. You can also turn on the whiteboard during a meeting and allow saving of the whiteboard content as well. So this remote control section, a lot of people don't have this on. Having this on allows me to request that I control someone else's screen when they're screen sharing. So that's really important for me during my one-on-one sessions where we might be working on something on their desktop or laptop, and I need access to it, so I can request it, and then I can actually control their screen once they provide permission. So slide control. So if you're sharing a keynote or a PowerPoint, if you have this on, only the person who is sharing that can actually control whether you move forward or move backward. If you want anyone to have control, you can turn that on. Nonverbal feedback. This is not one that I have seen before. Allow meeting participants to communicate without interrupting by clicking on icons. Yes, no, slow down, speed up, coffee cup. Icons are found in the reactions menu. I'm going to turn that on. We'll see what happens. I haven't seen it yet, so this will be interesting. It's a great way for just minute amounts of communication without maybe interrupting the presentation. And here's your emoji section here. So meeting reaction. So this allows participants to communicate with each other with interrupting by reaction with emojis. Clap, heart, laugh. So very social media-esque. And again, you can turn this on or off. Allow remove participants to rejoin. So if you or a co-host remove meeting participants, do you want, or webinar panelists, do you want to allow them to rejoin? You can add that on. Personally, if I'm removing someone, there's probably a reason for it, and I don't want them to come back and rejoin. This one here allows users to change their name when joining a meeting. So if they have a family Zoom account and their teen son has been on it the day before, they'll want to change their name so it's their name when they join your meeting. So you want to make sure that that is on, as well as allow participants to rename themselves. You can hide participant profile pictures in a meeting. So if someone comes on and they don't have their video turned on, there will generally be a profile picture. You can enable this, so it allows them to basically not be able to update their profile picture during the meeting, and their profile picture will be hidden. Okay, so now we're on the in-meeting advanced section here. So this one is on. You can allow users to report meeting participants for inappropriate behavior to Zoom's trust and safety team. So this is where Zoom rooms come in. These are basically breakout rooms, and this allows me or you as the host to split the meeting participants into separate smaller rooms. I will turn that on, might come in handy at some point. And I also have enabled that I want to be able to broadcast a message to all participants. Remote support. I'm a little unsure about what this one is. It says allow meeting host to provide one-on-one remote support to another participant. Closed captioning. So for accessibility, this might be great. Allow host to type closed captions or assign a participant or third-party service to add closed captions. I can imagine for accessibility reasons, that would be a very good thing to have. Generally, the host isn't going to be able to type and present at the same time. However, this also enables you to have a participant or third-party service to add closed captions. So that's a good idea. And then this one would allow you to save the closed captions as a separate file to send as well to the participants of that meeting or webinar. Far end camera control. So this allows other users to take control of your camera during a meeting. That's a big no thank you for me, but you might want to have that turned on. And then if you have the bandwidth, you can activate higher quality video for host and participants. Again, this is locked by admin, which is me. So this is a really fun one. Be careful where you use this. Some meetings, some webinars, it might not be particularly appropriate. However, I'm going to show you a quick tip to make your own sort of virtual background really easily. So there are some that come with Zoom, like these ones here, but you can also make one yourself. So if you go over to Canva and you type in Zoom virtual background, you're going to get all of these templates, which you could potentially use as your Zoom background. So let's just find one here. Let's do this online. Ooh, let's use that one here. Professional Bright Office Zoom. You can, of course, edit this in Canva, make it your own. Let's try this. We're going to download this. It's already got the right size that it needs to be for Zoom. Perfect. So it's downloaded. So we'll go back to my settings in Zoom here, click on Choose Files, double click that. Done. So now when I go on Zoom, I can actually choose that as one of my virtual backgrounds. So you can make a fully branded background if you want. You can make a background depending on, what you have going on in the background. You might want something a little different, and that's where the virtual backgrounds come into play. Video filters, so you can turn on the video filters to allow Zoom to touch up your appearance if you would like to. We'll put that on. Immersive View, allow hosts to curate case-specific scenes such as classroom or boardroom for their meetings or webinars. This is not one that I've used before, and I actually don't know what it is. I have it turned on. If you know what it is, drop a comment below, let me know. Focus mode. So this would be that only the host, co-host, and maybe the panelists, host and co-host videos and profile pictures show during a meeting. I do not have this on because I want the profile pictures or everyone who's in the meeting to actually be there in front of me. So I don't have that on, but you could turn that on if you just wanted yours front and center. Identify guest participants. So this is someone who's not part of your Zoom account, but is participating in the meeting or webinar. And so this is a guest list, basically. The guests themselves do not see that they are listed as guests, but you have a guest list. Auto answer group in chat allows other users to an auto answer group. Calls from members of a user's auto answer group will be automatically answered for that user. So that looks like more of a community answering. You have a large meeting, you don't want to have to answer all the questions. You can allow other people within the meeting to answer, part of this auto answer group. Only show default email when sending email invites. So this is for users who have invited participants by email, that they can only send invites using the default email program. I don't know why you would have that enabled. I wouldn't. HTML format email for Outlook plugin. So again, if you're using Outlook and you just want to use the HTML version, you can go ahead and turn that on. Allow users to select stereo audio in their client settings during a meeting. I don't see any reason why you couldn't or wouldn't have that turned on. This one, really important to have on. Show a join from your browser link. So they don't have to go into their Zoom application to join a meeting. They can join it directly from their browser. So if you don't want them to have to download and install and run Zoom, you can have this join from your browser link and it'll just let them join from their browser. So again, for people who aren't necessarily using Zoom regularly or aren't very familiar with Zoom, I would definitely go for that option here. All right, did you know that you could stream your Zoom meetings to Facebook, Workplace by Facebook, or YouTube, or a custom streaming service as well? So like StreamYard or something like that, right from your Zoom meeting or Zoom webinar. So I have that enabled, and when we go into Zoom, I'll show you how that works. This is interesting. Show a custom disclaimer when starting or joining a meeting that will be shown at the start of all your meetings hosted by your account. Doesn't look like I can turn this on for some reason. Maybe it's a higher level Zoom plan that enables you to be able to do that. So this is request permission to unmute. Select this option if the scheduler to request permission to unmute meeting participants and webinar panelists. So basically you're having to ask permission to unmute meeting participants. Sounds like a lot more back and forth than I'm interested in, so I'm leaving that off. This one here is enable stop incoming video feature. Allows meeting participants to turn off all incoming video feeds on their screen. Does not affect other participants' screens. Save gallery view. This is a new one, I think. After reordering the gallery, the host may save the arrangement. So when you're looking at a meeting with multiple people, the host can actually, it looks like, save the arrangement as a custom seating chart to the unique meeting ID. So if you are running meetings, over a 4-week period, let's say every Tuesday with a specific group of people, you can reorder the gallery and it will save it for future meetings. All right, let's go down here to email notifications. So in my case, I send the meeting to a client. If they book a one-on-one with me, they get the recording after. And so I get a notification when, again, an email notification when the recording is available. So I definitely want to have that enabled. And there's another couple of options here if you have other hosts on the account. Now, if you have your account set up so that attendees can join before the host, this would be that Zoom would send you an email notification when they joined before you, if you have it set up that way, as well as when a meeting is canceled, when an alternative host is set or removed from a meeting, when someone scheduled a meeting for the host, and when the cloud recording is going to be permanently deleted from the trash. I'm actually going to turn that on. All right, let's scroll down here to the other section. So this is if you're using iOS, Zoom on iOS, and this would hide potentially sensitive information on the app switcher screen from Zoom so that your participants wouldn't see everything that's on your iOS screen. This would be for when you set up to host a meeting. If you want to put the invites in there and send an email through Zoom, this would be the invitation email, which you can click here on this pencil and you can add more content. This is all content that will be added by default, but you can add your own content here at the bottom. Scheduled privilege would be if you wanted other users on your account to schedule meetings for you. So you can assign them here by clicking on add, entering their username, saying whether they can manage your private events or not. So that's if you have other users on your accounts that are setting this up, setting up meetings for you. And then this information here is usually for integrations with other software programs. Okay, so let's scroll back up to the top now and we'll go to the recording tab. So this is for local recordings, meaning not on Zoom, on your actual computer. Hosts can give meeting participants permission to record. This would be me giving my client, customer, or student, whoever I'm on the meeting with, the ability to record it if they want to. That's toggled on, and I've got this toggled on as well. This is for cloud recording, so it's actually uploaded to the cloud and hosted on Zoom. So these are all the options here: record active speaker with shared screen, record gallery view with shared screen, record active speaker, gallery view, and shared screen separately, record audio only file, and save chat messages. So you can just switch on whichever ones that you want for the cloud recording. Now these are advanced cloud recording settings, so you could add a timestamp to the recording. So that embeds the date and time of the actual meeting into the recording. Display participants' names in the recording, record thumbnails when sharing, optimize the recording for a third-party video editor so that if you download Zoom and you want to use another editor to edit it, the video is optimized. Save panelist chat to the recording. So this would be any chat that's happening with the panelists. It's going to save that to the recording as well. And again, poll results, if you're doing polls and surveys, do you want those shared during the meeting or webinar? And do you want to save closed captions as a VTT file? So these are just some advanced cloud recordings. Allow cloud recording sharing. So what happens is a link is generated. The video is actually generated, which you can download from Zoom after the meeting, or you can have a link that's generated with a password that you can actually send on to someone. So instead of you having to download it from your Zoom and then send it to them, you can actually just send them this link. So this is for when meeting starts. Do you want them automatically recorded? Now you can pause or stop the auto recording in the cloud. I have that checked. So mine starts automatically to record in the cloud, but I can also pause that or stop that if I'm, waiting for clients or customers or students to join. You can allow access control only from specific IP addresses if you want to. This is for authentication. So if we turn that on, we can allow the cloud recordings to be accessed by signed in users in my account or specific signed in users. And I can also set the recording as on demand by default so that the users actually have to register before watching the recording. I'm going to leave that off on mine. This is for password or passcode protection to access the cloud recordings, whether viewers can see the chat on the recording or not, whether you want to delete the cloud recordings after a specific number of days because Zoom will only host so many recordings. And I have this set so only I, the host, can delete the cloud recordings. This is for recording notifications. So when I start recording, there's actually a voice prompt in Zoom that notifies all participants that the recording has started. And you can also move this to guest only, or so no one gets this voice prompt. And you can also prompt it to ask the host or you to confirm before starting recording. And for users who are dialing in or using this on their phone, you can require phone-only users to press 1 to consent being recorded. And you can have multiple notifications for phone users as well. All right, let's go back up here and we'll go to audio conferencing. Okay, so this is whether or not you want to show international numbers on the invitation email. So if you're sending a link, an invitation directly through Zoom to the meeting, do you want to have international numbers on the invitation email? So I have this set to yes, and no one else can change it. This is where you choose where most of the participants are calling in from for the meeting, and it doesn't matter. I mean, you want to put this as accurately as possible, but as it says, an accurate selection can reduce unnecessary phone call delays to improve phone quality. Third-party audio would be if you had your own audio conference information that you wanted to have them join through, then you could turn this on here. Masking phone numbers would be to hide participant numbers, phone numbers from when they're calling in from. So that wouldn't hurt to be on actually. And this is where you choose countries or regions that frequently have participants who need to dial into meetings. So I should actually probably add to this. So you select the countries and regions where you have the highest number of participants from, and you can save that. All right, let's go back up to the top and we will go to the collaboration devices tab. Now I have no Zoom for home devices. If you do, this is where you could set that up. And under Zoom apps, you're going to find the Zoom apps quick launch button. And this just indicates that you want to show the Zoom apps button in the Zoom meeting or webinar when you're in there. So once you're done setting up all of these settings properly in your Zoom account, now we're going to head into the Zoom interface and look at the different settings there. So the easiest way that I use to get to my Zoom meetings is I've actually got Zoom installed as a Chrome extension. So I use the Google Chrome browser and I've installed this extension here. Let's move that over. So you can see it right here. When I click on Zoom Scheduler, I can schedule a meeting or quickly start a meeting with video on or video off. So let's start a meeting with video on. So I just got this error here because I'm actually already using my webcam. So what I'm going to do is go to my Zoom screen here, full screen. I'm going to go under Start Video. There's a little arrow here. And I'm just going to choose my other camera, which is actually my laptop camera. And then we'll start the video. So obviously this is super grainy here. So I'm actually going to stop the video because that's my laptop camera. This one up here is my webcam. So I'm going to stop the video. I don't need the video on here to be able to show you around in the different settings. So at the top here, you're going to see view. So you can actually change view. So it's speaker view, meaning when someone makes noise or starts talking, it's only going to show the speaker. Then you've got gallery view, which is all of the different boxes that you've probably seen on Zoom. And then you've got immersive here. So as you can see, gather everyone in the same view. Participants using older versions may see others with a dark background. Place participants into view automatically or manually. So let's just try this fireside chat here and we'll start my video. So as you can see, this is kind of fun. You can move them into different positions and you could have two of you having a fireside chat. So that's a pretty fun little function. Let's stop that video. There we go. So that's under view. Don't think we missed any. Oh, full screen. So that would be if you don't want, you want a full screen option. And then I'll just press the escape button and it takes me out of there. Up here, you're going to see this little security check here, and this just shows my meeting ID, my host, my passcode, numeric passcode, telephone room systems. Here's the invite link. So if I just want to go and quickly start a meeting, I just do like I just did. So I go to Chrome extensions, I start the meeting with the video on, and then I just copy this link here, this invite link, and send that off to the participant. Then they can just quickly join. So if it's not a scheduled meeting, we're just impromptu, hey, can you meet now on Zoom? That's the way that I do it to get in here. Okay, let's go down and look at the bottom here. So obviously this is your mute button, but what a lot of people don't know is there's a whole lot of other settings here. So if we hit this drop down arrow, we can select the microphone we want to use, the speaker we want to use. We can test the speaker and the microphone here, and we can access our audio settings. So this actually takes us, let's bring this down here, to our full settings. So let's go through some of these. Let's start at general. Now you can have Zoom start up when you start Windows if you want. You could check that here. When Zoom is closed, minimize the window to the notification area instead of the taskbar. You can use dual monitors, so if you've got 2 monitors set up. You can enter with full screen automatically when starting or joining a meeting. Automatically copy invite link once the meeting starts. So remember how I said I already automatically come in to start the Zoom meeting. I click on that security and go down to copy link. If I have this enabled, then I automatically, it's already copied and I can quickly go over and then send that off via email or messenger or however. Always show meeting controls, ask me to confirm when I leave a meeting, show my connected time, so how long I've been on the meeting, remind me 5 minutes before my upcoming meetings, stop my video and audio when device is locked, integrate Zoom with Outlook, show user profile icon next to in-meeting chat messages, and you can automatically keep Zoom desktop client up to date. So slow gives us fewer updates but better stability, and fast is the newest features and updates, but it might be less stable. And you can also change the skin tone of your emoji icons here. Let's go to video setting. So as you can see here, I have both of mine hooked up, but I can't choose this one here because I'm using that for recording this video, not on Zoom. So I have to keep it on my laptop here. And you can choose original ratio or HD. Normally you can choose to mirror your video. Now this is not letting me because I'm on my laptop with this camera right now. You can choose to touch up your appearance. So it sort of puts a little bit of a filter on your face, and you can also adjust for low light. Here's the options here. Always display participant names on their video. Turn off my video when joining the meeting. Always show video preview dialogue when joining a meeting. Hide non-video participants. Enable stop incoming video feature. You're going to see some of the same things that we saw in the actual account, which you can override here. See myself as the active speaker when I'm speaking. And then this is maximum participants to be displayed in the gallery view. So you could max 25 or max 49. You can also click on advanced here. So if you have this checked, it's software-based noise removal, which is great if you've got some things going on in the background. And if you don't know what you're doing here, don't touch this part. Let's go over to audio. Here's where you can test your speakers. Make sure that you're using the right speaker for your system here. You can also test your microphone and check your microphone here, and you can automatically adjust the microphone volume. Then you have the option to suppress background noise, and so it tells you, if it's on high, it's going to mute things like typing and dog barks. If it's on medium, it's going to mute things like, or suppress computer fan and pen taps. So music and professional audio here. This would be generally if you had, professional recording equipment or you had some kind of sound studio, you would be using this option here. Here you can select your ringtone. So, when someone comes into the meeting or leaves the meeting. So you can choose different ones. I'm just going to keep it on default. Now you can choose whether you automatically want to join the audio with the computer device you're on or not, whether you want to mute your microphone when you're joining the meeting, whether you want to be able to use the space key to temporarily unmute yourself, and whether you want to sync the buttons on your headset. And again, you have an advanced section here, but if you don't know what you're doing, just leave this part alone. Let's go over to screen share. So this is about window size when you're screen sharing. So when you are sharing a screen, do you want to maintain the current size, maximize the window, or go into full screen mode? Do you want to scale to fit shared content to the Zoom window so it scales it to fit? Do you want to enable the remote control of all applications? Do you want to use side-by-side mode? So if someone is actually sharing their screen, their picture or video is also coming up on the screen. And you want to silence system notifications when sharing a desktop. So if I do a screen share, do I want to silence my notifications, my email notifications or other notifications that might pop up? This is a big mistake I see, and that is just sharing individual windows as opposed to sharing all windows from an application. So if I do a screen share, I want to generally be able to go to my browser or to a variety of apps. But if I have this on share individual window, then basically I'm just sharing one tab on a browser or one app at a time. I like the option, so I like to have this one checked. When I share my screen in a meeting, do I want to automatically share the desktop, or do I want to show all sharing options? I keep it on show all sharing options. And when I share directly to a Zoom room, do I want to automatically share my desktop or show all sharing options? And I would like to put that on there. All right, backgrounds and filters. So we did talk about backgrounds a bit. We did not talk about filters so much. And this will not probably be a very good indicator because I'm using this horrible camera here. But there are some effects that you can use. Lip color, mustache, eyebrows, things like that. You can, I'm going to reset that because I don't want those, but you can have some studio effects on you as a filter. So as you can tell, it says that I can't choose a virtual background while I'm in Immersive View. So remember here under View, we hit Immersive so that we can have two people sitting in a fireside chat. So I'm going to go back to Gallery. We'll come down here, go back into Settings, Background and Filters, and None, or Blur. See, this went all blurry in the background. Or if you have a green screen, you can click I have a green screen. You can also add this plus button here to add an image or a video. Go into Downloads and we'll add that option here. So as you can see, now I'm quite blonde, so this is making me look like a ghost here. A solid color video background is required, so this would mean that you would have to have a green screen. I don't have a green screen. I can still use this without a green screen, but as you can see, because I'm blonde, if I've got a light background, that won't work very well. All right, let's go over to recording. So this is where you want to store your recordings on your local, so on your computer, or your laptop or your desktop. You can change that by clicking open and finding a different area that you would like to save all your Zoom recordings. Now you would check this if you wanted to choose the location for the recorded files when the meeting ends. I want them all going into this one area of my computer, so I don't have that on. You can also choose to record a separate audio file of each participant. Optimize it for third-party video editors. So again, if you're going to record on Zoom and then go edit on Screencast-O-Matic, then you could have this checked. Add a timestamp to the recording. Again, we're going to see some of those settings that we can override here that we set up initially in our Zoom account. Whether you want to record video during screen sharing, and whether you want to place the video next to the shared screen in the recording, and whether you want to keep temporary recording files. All right, let's go to statistics. So this isn't settings as much, it's just showing me my bandwidth, my network type, my connection type, my data center for overall audio, video, and screen sharing here. Keyboard shortcuts. So you can create some shortcuts that make it easier to do what you need to do inside Zoom when you're on it. And you will only be able to use these shortcuts if you have these checked. So the one that I have checked is when I press Control-Alt-Shift, it changes the focus to Zoom meeting controls on top when I'm sharing the screen. But you've got page up, page down, Alt, switch to speaker view. So you can definitely choose the ones that you want to be able to use as a global shortcut. And there are a lot here. Let's go down to accessibility. You can change the font size from small all the way to large. You can change the chat display type if you want to. And for those who are using screen readers, you probably want to have all of these enabled so that it makes accessibility much easier for participants. Okay, so we are going to shut that down now. And we've got one more section to cover, and that's your control panel here as the host of the Zoom meeting. So we went over the audio and the video. Let's go over to security. So this is where you could lock the meeting so no one else would be able to join, where you can enable or disable the waiting room, where you can hide profile pictures. This is also where you would say that I want to allow participants to screen share, chat, rename themselves, unmute themselves, or start video. And again, if you just click it, it'll uncheck that, and so it won't be an option anymore. If I click on participants, I can see here that I'm the host. When I mouse over it, I can also click more. I can enter a new screen name and remember my name for future meetings. It's also letting me know that I can now send nonverbal feedback, yes, slow down, etc. from reactions on the toolbar. So we're going to click participants again. We'll come back to the next one here, which is polls. So this is where I can create a poll or a quiz. This takes me back into my Zoom where I can now create a poll, which I could use over and over. I could just use once if I wanted. I put in my question here. I choose whether it's a single choice or multiple choice. I can move these answers around here. By clicking these three dots, I can allow participants to answer questions anonymously. So let's cancel that for now. And we'll come back here. So that's what you're going to see under polls. Under chat is obviously where people can chat with each other. If I wanted to send a message to a specific person in the meeting, I could click here. This is also where I can send a file. And I've got all of my emojis and reactions here. So as you can see, that just sent that little angry guy to everyone. All right, let's get out of chat. Share screen obviously allows me to just share my screen so I can select a window or application. I could share my screen, a particular app if I wanted to. Under advanced, I can also share a portion of my screen. I could share a video, PowerPoint as a virtual background, or I could go to files and choose where I want to find that file to send people. By hitting record, I can record on this computer or record on the cloud. Now, obviously, whatever you set up in Zoom is going to be the default. So I have it set up to record to the cloud, but I could choose to record on the computer as well. So this is where your Zoom rooms or your breakout rooms are. So I could create 2 breakout rooms. I could assign them manually or automatically, or I can let participants choose the rooms as well. So let's assign automatically and create. Now I could rename these rooms if I want to. I can also assign them. As you can see, all participants have been assigned to breakout rooms. I can add a room. I can open all rooms. And under options, I've got some extra options for my Zoom rooms. So these 2 options are really great down here. One is to say how long you want the breakout rooms to go for. So you might want to break them off, give them 5 minutes. So if you did that, you could change this to 5 minutes and notify you when the time is up, as well as the countdown after closing the breakout room. So that's here under options. And then reactions are right here. So you can raise your hand. There's all of these options here. And as you can see here, it shows up right here for me that someone has had a reaction. And then here under more is how you go live. So let's go live to my Facebook page. And I am going to switch off this camera for a minute so I can switch to my webcam for Zoom in order to go live to Facebook. Bear with me. Okay, so as you can see, I've got my fake background here. So let's go live to Facebook. So you're going to click on more. Then you can go live on Facebook, live on Workplace by Facebook, or live on YouTube. We're going to go live on Facebook. Then it's going to show me that Zoom is requesting to show a list of the pages that I manage. I'm going to click continue. So now it's going to ask for a title. Then you're going to enter a description. Okay, and this is where I'm going to choose to post. So where am I going to post to? Am I going to post to my own timeline, meaning my Facebook profile? Am I going to share it to my page, or am I going to share it to a group? In this case, I'm going to share it to my page, and I'm going to select the page, and I'm going to go live. Perfect, so it's preparing to live stream the meeting, and it'll show us in about 2 seconds once it's ready to go, and I am live on Facebook. All right, so as you can see by the button here, it is live. Hi, friends. I am currently filming, there we go, currently filming a little tutorial on all of the Zoom settings that you probably don't know exist, that you need to set up properly in order for you and your participants to have the best experience, as well as some crazy settings that you didn't even know existed. You can see my fake background here that I was demoing. So watch for that. It will be coming out soon on YouTube. Then when I'm done, we just go back to Zoom here. It tells me this meeting is being live streamed. Great. And when I'm done, I can just stop the live stream by clicking here. And that's it. That is your super tour of all the Zoom settings in your account and in the Zoom interface that you're going to need for the best experience for yourself as the host, for any panelists, for co-hosts, and for your participants. If you have any comments or questions, or you want to add anything to this, feel free to leave a comment below and make sure that you're subscribed to know when I release new videos.